Now, ozone layer depletion is it's like this ozone layer protects us from the harmful UV rays coming from the sun. So it's like about 25 kilometers above the surface of Earth. This ozone layer is present around 20 to 25 kilometers. As you go up the surface of Earth, I mean, you don't need to take notes, Laiba. All these things that I'm explaining, environmental chemistry, the ones which I explained yesterday, they're all in the PDF that I've shared. तो उसमें सीक्वेंस लेफ्ट राइट होगा, आगे पीछे होगा, लेकिन ये जो भी मैं एक्सप्लेन कर रहा हूँ ये सारा उसमें दिया हुआ है. आप थोड़ा बस इसको समझ लें और फिर उसको आप अपने नोटबुक में वहाँ से लिख लें, PDF से लिख लें या एटलीस्ट प्रिंट कर लें उसको, ये सब सिलेबस में है. So this ozone layer is around that much from the surface of Earth, and it's actually O3. Ozone is O3, and it actually protects us from the harmful radiation of sun. जो harmful rays है उनको filter करती है, block करती है, and only the light that we need would come on the surface of Earth. But when this ozone layer is like depleted, it breaks off at different places. There are openings or holes in it. तो उससे क्या होता है कि जो harmful radiation है sun की वो भी आती है. Now the source of the cause of depletion of ozone layer is the CFCs. Now CFCs are chlorofluorocarbons. Any organic compound which has chlorine in it, fluorine, or maybe one of that, or maybe two of it. तो ऐसे compounds को हम CFCs कहते हैं. So organic compounds having halogens present in them, they are like called CFCs. अब इसमें I've shown fluorine and chlorine together in one molecule. इसमें we have two fluorine. So the word CFC is generally used for compounds which have halogens bonded to carbon in the organic compound. Now CFCs were mainly used in the aerosol sprays, different sort of sprays that we use. Walaikum Assalam. अभी आप लोगों की मैथ की क्लास फिनिश हुई. अच्छी बात. We are continuing further into the environmental chemistry, and yeah, you don't have to take these notes. अभी मैंने ग्रुप में शेयर किए हैं PDF inorganic chemistry के, इसके environmental के. तो जो भी मैंने कल एक्सप्लेन किया था और ये सब उसमें है. बस आप लोग समझ लें, easy general knowledge की चीजें हैं, they are part of your syllabus and they come in questions. MCQs में, structured paper में, you get these questions. अभी मैं explain कर रहा था ozone layer and its role and its depletion. Ozone layer depletion means के this ozone layer gets removed in patches in different places on surface of Earth. So ozone layer technically मैं बता रहा था कि on the surface of Earth, if you go above to about 25 kilometer, 20 to 25 kilometers के बाद start में तुम्हारा सारा atmosphere है. Then we have this ozone layer. Ozone layer chemically is O3. ठीक है? O3 इसका formula है. And the job of this ozone layer is कि it actually filters off the harmful sun rays. और जो बहुत ज़्यादा harmful radiation है sun से, sun की वो block करती है हमारे लिए, और only the useful sun rays would come to us on the surface of Earth. लेकिन जब इसमें openings आ जाती हैं, patches बन जाते हैं, सुराख हो जाते हैं, we say ozone layer is depleted. और उससे क्या होता है कि फिर direct जो harmful rays हैं, they could actually come on the surface of Earth. आज साथ जब वो sun के surface पे आएंगे, तो वो फिर नुकसान देंगे हमें. I was explaining next to it that how this ozone layer gets depleted. So this ozone layer is damaged mainly because of the chemicals called CFCs. CFCs are chlorofluorocarbons. These are organic compounds which contain halogens attached with carbon. So when we use these CFCs, we use these CFCs in different sprays, aerosol sprays, like जैसे car shiners होते हैं, sprays like that, and different kind of lotions, varnishes, polishes. All these things contain these CFCs. And then refrigerants. Now it's technically banned to use CFCs, but the old refrigerators and air conditioners, they still have CFCs in them. So when they're like discarded and recycled, so people who are not expert, when they do it, they don't dispose of these chemicals properly. So when they just roughly do it, all these CFCs would actually go up into the atmosphere here. So once these CFCs, these harmful chemicals are up in the surface of Earth, CFCs in the atmosphere, they start reacting with the ozone layer. And that's where the trouble starts. You don't need to take these notes. I've just shared the PDFs of the topics that we have done yesterday and we are doing right now. They're all there. Okay, you can try and understand it. So once the CFCs are there, these CFCs release reactive halogens in the presence of UV light. They produce reactive, like अगर मैं इसका एक formula लिख लूँ, CH3Cl for instance. So it produces CH3 and Cl. So in the light, when they go up there, they produce reactive halogen radicals. This is halogen radical. It's highly reactive. It's an atom. So this halogen atom of chlorine, for example, it reacts with ozone, O3, and there it converts itself into chlorine oxide and oxygen. And this chlorine oxide will further react with more molecules and keep on going on with that reaction. So this ozone is being turned into oxygen. So apparently it seems like ozone layer depletion gives oxygen to us, and that's harmful because oxygen comes from the surface of Earth by plants mainly. So we don't need oxygen from the ozone layer. We need ozone layer there because it's protecting us from harmful sun rays. So then CFCs halogens are the ones which are harmful for the ozone layer. When they go there, they would naturally react with the ozone layer and that causes the depletion of it. So, but the good thing is that the ozone layer healing keeps on happening side by side. So ozone layer break bhi hoti hai, but it's formed back as well. So this is also like one of the phenomena which scientists say that it's not that severe or troublesome the way we think or we used to think about it. Okay, ozone layer depletion rate is faster than formation rate. That's why it's a bit troublesome. Lekin ozone layer does form back again. So all this detail that I've explained about ozone layer depletion, it's in the PDFs I've shared. Don't forget to copy them or write them in your notebook, right? Usko padh ke, just read it again, and then you write it in your notebook, right? Otherwise, you'll miss on important information. We have done the global warming, eutrophication, acid rain, then catalytic converter in the cards, and then this ozone layer depletion. And next we have these fertilizers and herbicides and pesticide stuff. So मैं उसको explain करता हूँ. If you got a question, पूछें. These are general knowledge things. Person who studies science or especially chemistry should know these concepts about the environment. Without a question, I पूछ लें. Okay, so before I go to pesticides or herbicides, you need to know about fertilizers. Okay, so these fertilizers are actually these are such minerals which are essential for the plant growth, right? We know plants need fertilizers, natural or artificial fertilizers, but plants do not grow well if there is a shortage of fertilizer in the soil. So आपसे पूछा जाता है कि what are fertilizers, so you could actually say these are chemicals or salts or minerals which are essential for plant growth. And there are many type of fertilizers, but the main or the most important fertilizers are actually called NPK fertilizers. NPK fertilizers. N for nitrogen, P for phosphorus, and K for the potassium. NPK fertilizers. These are the ones which are used all over the world. Since 1950s, this urea was formed, and after that, the shortage of food or crops or wheat is no more there actually. If there is some shortage of wheat or food somewhere, that's not because of the lack of crops. It is because of lack of management. Like you're not able to provide the food in that place timely. But before that, even in 19th century start or 18th century, there was severe shortages of foods, especially in winters. In Europe, we had, because Europe, there were not much crops. But since the urea is formed in 1940s, after that, there is no problem or shortage of crops or wheat or sugar cane, it's especially. अब उसमें these three are the main elements which plants need for their growth. What you need to know and remember that nitrogen's most important fertilizer is this urea, which is actually NH2 twice CO. If you would memorize the formula of urea, it's good. It comes in MCQs. Like which of the following is a good fertilizer? So if it's written in words, तो वो तो बहुत easy है, but mostly they give it in the form of formula. This is the formula for urea, NH2 twice CO. Then, and we call it nitrogen fertilizer because urea has nitrogen in it. And nitrogen is very important from plant growth, all the nitrate salts and stuff. Beside this, we have calcium nitrate as another example of common nitrogen fertilizer. For phosphorus, we have magnesium and calcium phosphate. Magnesium phosphate, Mg3PO4 whole twice, and calcium phosphate, C3PO4 whole twice. You get to write at least one or two examples of these fertilizers, NPK fertilizers. The nitrogen, you can write urea and this. Phosphorus, you can write phosphates because phosphates contain phosphorus element, which is again important from the plant growth. Or potassium, the case we have this potassium nitrate or potassium chloride as common salts. Potassium fertilizers are not that important, but they're still used as mixture with urea. These fertilizers are essential for the plant growth, but you need to remember that excessive use of fertilizers when you use too much fertilizer in one place, causes or leads to eutrophication. इससे पहले कल मैंने explain किया था. You might be using lots of extra fertilizers to get more and more crops, but naturally the water bodies in adjacent field areas, they get affected, and eutrophication is a common problem which we see with the excessive use of fertilizers. Beside this, the natural composition of soil changes. We all know fertilizers are good for us because they give us more crops and wheat and food. But you need to know that fertilizers are not entirely good. One, they cause eutrophication. Secondly, they change the natural composition of soil, right? The mineral content of soil. So natural composition of soil is changed, and only a certain type of crops can be grown in that area. I mean, where you use a specific fertilizer like urea, for instance, and lots of urea, you use it over the years and decades. So that field or soil might not support other crops or plants in that area because you have put so much of fertilizer in that place that the natural mineral content of the natural soil changes. And you know, the natural plantation herbs and all the natural plants, the wild plants and all, they need some other kind of composition. They don't need all the urea all the time. So such fields and crops, all large fields and places, they are not then able to support natural vegetation like large plants and trees and stuff like that, unless you change the composition of that soil once over, where you only can grow some other crops and plants and stuff like that. So this is like a very brief introduction about fertilizers. We don't have too much of detail of fertilizers, that how they're made and all. Lekin still you need to know about it. अच्छा, इसी के साथ we have herbicides and pesticides. That is also very briefly in the syllabus. Herbicides and pesticides. Side is to kill, like suicide, homicide. You know that. You know that, right? Yeah. What is suicide? To kill own self. And then what is homicide? You don't know homicide? To kill another species of the same type. When a man kills another man or a human kills another human, we call it homicide. Suicide, you kill yourself. And then most of the science words are logical. Once you know their meaning, you remember them properly. So herbicide. So what do you make of it? What do you kill here? You kill plants, herbs, and pesticides, you kill pests. And when again you're in a wheat field or crop where you want to grow wheat only, you don't want all those fancy wild herbs and flowering plants around, because those herbs will naturally be using the mineral content of your soil, and the wheat that you want to grow desperately, that is affected. So what scientists do or agriculturalists do with the fertilizer is there to support wheat, but to support more growth and crop or field, they put herbicides and pesticides. So herbicides are the chemicals which kill the small plants and herbs and stuff. So these are chemicals that kill unwanted plants or herbs with the main crop. So these are like herbicides. And then again, we know these pesticides, small pests and ticks and flies and stuff, they're also harmful for the crop. So we spray pesticides. You people don't watch PTV, I'm sure, right? I remember when we were kids, we had only PTV, national television, Pakistan national television. You know that, right? And they used to show lots of ads about pesticides and herbicides. Koi bhi movie or drama or anything, the break inside would have all the ads about herbs and pesticide, like spray this on this American Sundi and stuff. So it is good for your crop and everything. So that is because that's national television and that goes in the entire country, and the farmers need to know what kind of sprays they can use on their crops and everything. So pesticides are the chemicals which kill harmful insects or pests and protect the crops. In a way, it sounds good. Okay, you can use herbicides and pesticides to get more and more crop and yield. But the major problem with the herbicides and pesticides is that both of these two chemicals that they're using, they're carcinogenic. And you know what is carcinogenic? You don't know? Very bad. Here's general science terms. Carcinogenic chemical is the one which can cause cancer, right? Cancer causing. So these are the uses of herbicides and pesticides. We don't have any specific examples of these, but you should know okay, both of these are carcinogenic. That is, they can cause cancer. What's happening here is, and you should know this by the way, that all these sprays and herbicides, they're sprayed on the crops at large scale. A farmer would want to make sure that his or her crop is best growing. And they at times do not care what kind of chemicals they're using. There are so many banned chemicals which are not allowed but still used all over the world. So the excessive use of pesticides and herbicides, what happens is that these chemicals could enter the plants, the wheat, the crop, the sugarcane, the vegetables, the fruit that we eat. So they enter into the surface of these vegetables and fruits especially, or into the soil, and through the soil they could enter into the plant. So when we bring such crops and things into our homes and we use them directly, like was simple washing, these chemicals do not go off. The good thing is that these herbicides and pesticides are water soluble. And if you keep your vegetables, fruit dipped in water for maybe 5-10 minutes before using them, then almost 100% of these chemicals will seep out into water, and then you can wash or rinse your crops easily. Yeah. There is inspection, but the thing is that so many things are ignored, and then at time, the governments do not check things properly because they need to meet a target to meet the target of wheat growth, sugarcane growth, because they need to make sure that the people get enough wheat all through the year. So I mean, everybody knows that these chemicals are harmful. And government can't tell them to not use them, rather they tell them to use them. But then obviously how much they use it, and then they tell people also. I mean, you're studying science now. As a teacher, I'm telling you, before you use vegetables, salads, fruits especially, because they're not cooked properly, right? You don't cook vegetables much, or you don't cook salad or fruit. So we just rinse them, then eat them, right? And that's which is very harmful, especially the fruits which we eat with the peel, like apple, for instance. So these chemicals are typically on the surface of the plants or fruit. If you put your fruit into the water, dip in water for 5-10 minutes, then they're like washed out. Then you can rinse your fruit and vegetables and then use it. Again, as mostly I say, when you study science and you study these things in your syllabus, you need to try and apply them, and you need to tell all this to your people at home, and this is not good to use these kind. I mean, we need to, otherwise everybody washes plants and everything, but the thing is that we need to be a bit more careful about it. अब ये herbicides and pesticides और सारा उसका ये complete हो गया. अब the PDF that I've shared, it has all these things in it. Maybe herbicide, pesticides की details might not be there, but I'll be sharing the recording. आज भी मैंने करनी थी, but there is some issue with internet. There was no internet at my home. तो इसलिए आज फिर मैं इवनिंग में करूँगा. तो आप if you don't see these details in the PDF that I've shared, तो फिर उसको आप रिकॉर्डिंग से देख के लिख लें. ठीक है, बुक में भी होंगे आपके ये सारे, इसमें नाइट्रोजन सल्फर वगैरह में है. अच्छा, अब since we are done with this, one last thing that I'll be perhaps doing tomorrow is the detection of ions and gases and tests of all these and colors and stuff. तो वो तो उसके भी PDF है मेरे पास. I'll be sharing them and you just need to memorize them over the weekend and then from next week probably we'll start with the past paper practice. Again, we just finished organic and for a quick revision, I'll draw one or two compounds here and you guys try and name them. ठीक है, जरा आप लोग कोशिश करें इनको नेम करें. Now, before you name them, can you tell me what type of organic compound is this? Like the organic compounds that we studied, alkane, alkene, alcohol. What kind of compound is it? Yes, sir. This is an ester. It's an ester, right? When we have the COO thing inside the chain, it's an ester. And esters are made by the reaction of carboxylic acids and alcohols. अब आप लोग try करें जरा इनको name. I've just written two of them here. I'll write one more. Do we have time? We have 5 minutes. Two would be enough. जी online जो बैठे हैं, they can also tell this name. The first one is an alkene, right? Yes. Yes. 3-chloro. Yeah, you need to tell the position of the functional group, right? So 3-chloro, but 1E. Good. See, you numbered it from this side because you want to give lower number to the double bond. So that's 1, 2, 3, and that's 4. So chlorine is a third carbon. So we write 3-chloro and 1 butene or but 1E. There are 4 carbon and double bond. 3-chloro, but 1E. That's an alkene. That's an ester. Ester straight chain naming हमारे syllabus में, so that's easy one we have done. More difficult esters than this. इसका नाम बताओ कोई? Anyone? Yes, sir. Good. No. That's not correct. This part of ester comes first and this comes later. जी ऑनलाइन वाला भी कोई बता सकता है? Yes. Ethyl propanoate. Excellent. See, look, Umar, who has hardly studied any chemistry, I would say, is able to name an ester even. It's a very good sign. So this is ethyl. Ethyl. And that 1, 2, 3, 3 carbon. Propanoate. Ethyl propanoate. Just you guys try and go through the entire organic. Perhaps on Monday I'll keep a test from organic chemistry, right? That's the best way to make you guys learn about it. तो मिलके Monday को organic का सिर्फ test होगा, ठीक है ना? फिर उसके बाद we'll start with the past papers. Revise करके सही से याद करें and all the reactions and stuff. I'll be asking questions from organic now repeatedly, ठीक है ना? तो याद करें, especially जिनके exams हैं. So that would be all for today. Quick question online, my students, you can ask now. That's it, then Allah.